Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The Warsaw Uprising began exactly 76 years ago today at 5 o'clock on the 1st of August 1944. By the time they surrendered, the soldiers of the Home Army had been fighting for freedom against impossible odds for 63 days. Today, at 5 p.m, as the sirens rang out, the city of Warsaw stood in a minute's silence to remember those who selflessly gave up their lives for Poland and to honour the ever smaller band of veterans and survivors.
76 years after the outbreak of the largest military action in occupied Europe, the Warsaw Uprising, this year's commemorations were a little more modest because of the coronavirus epidemic. But the permanent elements, Our W and Gloria Victis, remained. Earlier in the day, President Andrzej Duda laid flowers in front of the Wolski Hospital, where over 360 doctors and patients were murdered by the Germans.
Zginął dyrektor.
It is a great testimony to the suffering of the residents of Wola and the hospital patients, but above all, it is a great testimony to heroism and service.
Kapelan Szpitala Wolskiego.
One of the youngest participants of the uprising, Jerzy Czajkowski, the destroyer, who turned 12 in January 1944, recalled today how he ended up in the Grey Ranks.
Pierwszego dnia powstania
I had two colleagues who lived in my building, a certain Lech Kucharski, who already belonged to the Grey Ranks, and Antoni Rotuski. I remember the first day of the uprising, and he came to us and asked if I wanted to help spread the insurgent press, etc., and so I ended up in the Grey Ranks. The hope was related to the West, that the Allied forces were helping us here, but very weak, and we persisted because we hoped that maybe something else would succeed.
oczywiście drugiego dnia zgłosiłem.
The celebrations related to the commemoration of the Warsaw Uprising have been going on for several days. Last Thursday, President Andrzej Duda and the mayor of Warsaw, Rafał Trzaskowski, met the insurgents. The insurgents expressed thanks for the cherishing of the memory of the uprising. About 16,000 insurgents and 150,000 civilians died in the fighting. Thousands of people were injured. It is estimated that 650,000 civilians were transported from Warsaw to a transit camp in Pruszków. From there, 150,000 were sent to forced labor in Germany and 50,000 to concentration camps.
Today, the march of the Warsaw Uprising under the slogan "Countless German Crimes" took place in Warsaw on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising, with the participation of hundreds of patriots.
The Warsaw Uprising March under the slogan "Countless German Crimes" took place today in the capital on the occasion of the 76th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising. This is the first time that I'm participating in this march, but I have participated in the Independence March many times. I think this is the 10th time that I've participated in this march. My parents have been participating in this march since I was a kid. I think it's a moment of reflection. This was a huge tragedy which took the lives of over 200,000 people in Warsaw. They gave their lives for freedom. It was a wonderful march. It's nothing more. If anyone says differently, then they are wrong. It's a wonderful patriotic event. It's a very important event. We have to remember, we have to talk about our history. We have to teach our children our history.
President Andrzej Duda today met representatives of the large families association 3+, in the presidential palace in Warsaw. During their meeting, Duda emphasized the role of the family in the development of Poland, Europe and the entire world. The president also emphasized the importance of teaching our children Polish tradition and Polish culture.
Rodzina jest czymś nieocenionym, dla Polski.
Family is priceless for Poland, Europe and the entire world. It is a cornerstone for development. That's why I want to thank the European Confederation and the Polish Families Association for all their work for Polish families. I can categorically say that it was you who brought back care for Polish families to our country. The fact that there have been more and more initiatives and bills introduced in the past 5 years to protect the interests of Polish families, to encourage Polish couples to have children, to raise them and give them our culture and tradition is all thanks to you.
Narodowo i państwowo-twórcze.
According to the latest data from the Polish Ministry of Health, the total number of coronavirus infections in the country has now reached 46,346, including 34,374 people who have recovered from the infection and 1,721 people who have died. The Ministry of Health has announced 658 new coronavirus infections, including 158 in the Lesser Poland voivodeship. According to the latest data from the Polish Ministry of Health, there are 658 new coronavirus infections and 5 new deaths in the country. The total number of coronavirus infections has now reached 46,346. 34,374 people have recovered from the infection. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.